What's going on today, fam? So we're back in today. We're working on the C5 as always, but today we're upgrading our power steering pump because my old one was going out. It's starting to get whiny, starting to make a lot of noise, so we're going to change that out. And we're going to be replacing it with the Turn 1 HP2 power steering pump. And so this one is a modified OEM part, but upgraded. So a few of the characteristics that make this better is it has a better high RPM and high temp bearing on the inside. It consumes less horsepower. It reduces fluid temps, and it's better for general high RPM usage. So if you have a track car or a car that you speed on pretty hard, if your power steering pump goes out, definitely recommend upgrading to the Turn 1 power steering pump. I did get the one with their pulley on it, and you guys will see why, but this allows you to access these bolt holes right here. Let me show you. So if you see those 3 bolt holes right there, so the OEM pulley does not allow you to access it. Actually, I'm going to be destroying the OEM pulley to take off the old pump, but I definitely recommend going with this upgraded pulley because it's made out of aluminum. It won't crack, and like the OEM pulley could, and it's just, and then on top of that, you know, it looks pretty cool. But while I'm there, I'm gonna change out my AC line, I'm gonna change out my serpentine belt, and then I got some power steering fluid, and I'm using synthetic ATF. Mobile One in mine. We're gonna be using a syringe also to syringe out the old fluid. But first thing is first. Oh, by the way, I will have all those parts you just saw linked into this. Linked in the description if you want to buy it for yours. So first things first, we are going to remove our negative off our battery, and so we don't get electrocuted. Then we're going to remove our serpentine belt. It's a 15 mil on the tensioner, and you just pull it towards you, and it takes tension off the belt. Then we are going to remove the 2 13 millimeter bolts here and here in order to remove our alternator. There's, I believe this is a 12 millimeter right here, and then you need to remove this plug, and we're gonna get our alternator totally out of the way to clear up some space. So we'll knock out that first, and then we'll go ahead and move on to the next step. So quick correction, so these 2 mounting bolts for the alternators are 15 mils, and then the back one is a 13. I've done this a few times, so I thought I just knew it off the top of my head, so that's my fault, but quick correction. But anyway, moving on. Cool, alternators out. Next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna turkey base all of the fluid from here. And so when we disconnect these lines, we don't get fluid everywhere. After we do that, we are going to remove this whole reservoir off of this actual pump, off of this bracket right here in order to have access to the mounting bracket behind it. Then we're gonna go ahead and remove the intake bridge, and we're gonna take the bottom screw out of the throttle body, and we're gonna rotate that up and out of the way just to create more room. You may be able to get it in without removing the throttle body, but just in the research I did, it looked like that it was easier that way, just because it provided you more space. So we're gonna go with that. So let's get into it. So we're gonna go ahead and remove the throttle body. I've already loosened this up here. I'm not gonna take it off from this part right here because, like, I've had trouble in the past trying to get this this slip on the correct way, so I'm just gonna leave that to make my life easier. But it's 3 10 millimeter bolts, 1 up top and 2 on the side. So go ahead and get those off. Gonna have to remove this plug right here. Then there is another plug on that side right here that we need to remove. Then we can go ahead and pull off our throttle body. So that's simple enough. Just keep in mind on this side, this has like one of those like safety plugs. So it looks like you have to remove this green part first, and then you're able to remove the actual plug itself. So let's get to it. Okay, so I'm not gonna take the throttle body all the way off. I do have it loose, but just cause that coolant line right there, I don't want coolant to get all over the place, but it does give me access to the 15mm bolts that hold on the reservoir right here. I'm gonna take off this bracket, just so I can get that hose off right there that goes to the pump itself. So I'm gonna go ahead and take off those two 15 mils, then I'm gonna start working that hose off. It's probably baked on there, so I'm gonna twist it with a pair of pliers first, and then we'll work towards getting the whole reservoir off. So I got the reservoir mounting bolts loose, and as you can see, I'm now able to get to the clip and that hose on the hose on there. So once I take off that clip, I should be able to actually take off the whole reservoir from there. So I'm gonna work on doing that right now, and then I'll show you guys once I got that out. So when I tell y'all I just went through hell trying to remove this doggone power steering reservoir, it's definitely a bit of a challenge. I won't lie there, but it wasn't too bad at all. I was able to get it done. So that's cool, that's done. So obviously your return line's open, and then this line is open right there. So your return line's a bit tricky, but you can put that inside of a bottle and kind of move that to the side, and that will be okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, but next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna loosen up our ABS module. If you have a 97 to I think 99 or 2000 C5, then your ABS is in the rear, so you don't really have to worry about this step. But for us 01 to 04 guys, our ABS module is in the front. So I'm gonna go ahead and loosen up the brackets just to give us more room to work, so we can move the whole assembly forward. Then we have better access to our power steering pump. All right, y'all, so we're underneath the car now, so we're gonna go ahead and loosen up the ABS mounting bracket. Is 3 bolts total, but one is a nut and bolt combo, which is the top one. This is the biggest one. It's an 18 mil. So remove that right there, so you can see it's right there. And then there's 2 smaller ones, one right here, one right there. And so the nut on the other side of this is also 18 mil. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove that. And once I remove that, and then you'll be able to see why this will allow me to move this back. All right, so we got the ABS bracket loose. As you can see, we can move that forward. So that's cool. Now, next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna break the pulley. So this is a plastic composite pulley. So I'm just gonna take my hammer and a chisel and just break this around, and so I have access to the mounting bolts of the power steering pump itself. And then we'll go ahead and loosen those bolts. We also need to loosen the high pressure hose from underneath. So also gonna have to do that, but we'll have better access to that hose once we break off parts of this pulley. All right, y'all, so as you can see, I got that pulley off. The way I did that was pretty simple. I took my hammer here and I just hit the pulley dead on like that until it started to break. And it broke pretty easily. It didn't take a lot of force. So I was just smacking the hell out of that. So we actually have access to the pump now. So now we can see our high pressure line right here. And that looks like it is a 16 mil. So in order to create a little bit more space, in order to get to it, we're gonna take off this idler pulley right here. So that's another 15 millimeter right there. So we're just gonna go ahead and take off that idler pulley. That will free up some space to get to this. Then we just need to undo this line, and then we can undo the 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts that's holding our actual pump in at that point. So really dope, man. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so we got that there. So what I did was I grabbed a 16 mil a crow's foot in order to loosen up that high pressure line right there. So I got that loose. I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. It's like a brake line type right there. So it just slips over like that. And it's super easy. It wasn't on too tight. I was going the wrong way at first, and so just be careful of that. So now I got that loose. So I'm gonna leave it loose. I'm not gonna take it all the way out yet. And now I'm gonna start working on the 4 mounting bolts for the power steering pump itself. So let me see what size those are. 13. Yeah, and so the 4 bolts and for the power steering pump itself are 13 millimeters, but be careful because they are different size bolts, and so you got to make sure that you put them in the right place. So just something to keep in mind there. All right, y'all, so I got my old power steering pump out right here. As you can see, we're gonna have to put the old hose back on, unless you did get a new hose. I did not, so I'm just gonna break this free, but I'm gonna reorient it in the same way in that it is. I'm gonna remove this bracket from here, and then I'm gonna slide it in on there, but I'm only gonna put in the bolt and that holds it. But the other 3 bolts that go into the alternator bracket, I'm gonna have to wait until I put it back in the car in order to put these in. But that's where your skeleton pulley comes into play, because now you can put these bolts in while they are, and while the pump is already in the car, which is really dope. So I'm gonna get on that now, remove this, install it there, go ahead, install that new bracket here, and then install the old bracket on the power steering pump. Also, one key thing to point out is on your high pressure line, make sure you don't lose that O-ring. There's a small O-ring on there. I noticed mine almost popped off, so just be aware of that. Cool, and so got the new bracket on. Just a reminder, your long bolts are going in the top and the bottom holes, and then your smallest bolt is going to be going in that little side hole right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this assembly in the car right quick, and just to get it fitted up, and get all of these started, and then I'll actually tighten these down. The torque spec for these is 18 foot-pounds. So yeah, let's get it back in the car. Got the pulley in, got it all tightened down, got the high pressure line right there. That's all tightened down. That wasn't too hard to tighten. I was a little bit concerned, but I was able to get it with a regular 16 mil wrench. Next thing, tensioner needs to go back on. Need to put in the power steering reservoir again. After that, I'm gonna hook back up my throttle body. Need to put my bolts back in my ABS unit mounting bracket. Then I need to put my alternator back on right here. But yeah, man, we are in a downhill portion of this, man. This was honestly a messy job. If there was one thing I would do different, I would definitely bring some brake cleaner, or some type of degreaser or something like that, just to clean up after this mess, because I'm definitely gonna have to do some type of detail or something like that when this is all said and done. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna start putting this all back together, and then we'll go through the bleeding procedure after that. But yeah, man, I'm gonna go ahead and time lapse this up. So let's get it. You can see alternator's back on, brand new serpentine belt, that's back on, intake's back on, throttle body's hooked back up, everything's back together, APS It's bolted back down as it should be. So now all that's left to do is add fluid and bleed the system. As I said before, we're running this ATF right here. So we're gonna go ahead and top it off. Try not to spill too much. While I'm sitting here trying to talk to y'all. Filled that up. So the way we're gonna bleed it literally is just turn the wheel left and right, and you'll see all those air bubbles come to the top. That's in the system. So I'm literally just gonna keep on turning the wheel from left to right until I see no more air bubbles. And once that's gone, I know that the system is totally bled. And then I'm gonna go ahead and start it up, and I'm gonna check for leaks. So, ain't nothing to it but to do it. So I got done bleeding everything. I double checked to make sure that my fluid level was correct. It's at the code mark on the power steering dipstick, and the car's running well, no issues. I still need to go take it for a run though. I don't see any leaks out when it's running though, so that's a good sign. So I'm gonna go and take it for a run. If there's any issues, I will report back, but if not, then you know everything went smooth like it should have. But I appreciate you watching the video. Take it easy. I'm out. Actually, don't forget to like and subscribe, all that stuff. Don't forget, I'm going to link all this stuff in the description for you guys if you need it. But take it easy, I'm out.